Hola everyone, this is kind of like a short commercial for what we're going to be doing here. This is for a future presentation down the road. And what is it going to be about? I can tell you right now, it's going to be all about what's in this box. And what is in this box? I'll show you in a second here. Put it down here. Now I'll do my famous unboxing of the box. Open that box up, and back here, put this down here so it's not in the way. Have a wrap without things getting weird. Okay, and what's in the box? It's the grand announcement of RIM Publishing Company's first official book release. I like it better upside down. I like myself upside down. This is the first release of Ancient Knowledge from IRM Publishing. It's our first book on ancient knowledge to be released in the modern era. The last time this knowledge was probably known was in 1491. And it's how to read the 260-day sacred calendar and ancient Chinook global mapping. You need to know both of them to understand where you're going to go on the globe, because things that are celestial are just as important as the things that are on the globe to locate things. So you got to understand astronomy as well as global mapping. And what's on the back? It says, "Wake up, my relations, you've been sleeping." And who's on the front cover? Yours truly, Mr. Roger Colty. And on that end, Colleen Gorman, which is Re-Energizing Minds on the YouTube. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to go into detail right now, but I'll just skim through this book so you get an idea what it looks like. We're going to do another presentation. I'll go through every page. But right now, I'm just excited to let you know that we actually do have a book out, and it's not just, willy-nilly, like, out of a Xerox machine or something, This is super serious publishing from a regular publishing company, and all the ancient knowledge that's in here for the 260-day sacred calendar that needs to be known about how the celestial objects work and operate with each other, and how the planets are used in the number system, and all of the planets. In other words, all 13 objects. Not like we're thinking right now. We have 9 planets. Yeah, but in the ancient way, 9 planets, the sun and the moon, 9, 10, and 11. That means there's 12 and 13 out there. So there's 13 objects out there, and there's 13 zodiacs. And here's the complete zodiac with the 13 zodiacs and the 13 objects and how they relate to 13. First time this has been produced in modern times. In other words, put back the calendar the way it used to be before archaeologists came along and start making up all kind of stories about it. This one, it teaches you where the starting point of the calendar for one read and how it relates not only to one read, but one read relates to the rising of the morning star, Venus, and it relates to also to the Pleiades being directly overhead, or the relationship between Earth, Venus, and the Pleiades, and how it's used. And then this teaches you how to read the 260-day sacred calendar itself, 5 across, 5 down, or on this side, the shorthand way I'm showing on the yardstick, you can use a yardstick and it'll show you the same years without having to, calculate anything. You just got to make sure things are aligned right. On this section over here is the one for the global mapping. And this is where I'm trying to get this trade network introduced, because we as indigenous people need to create our own trade network where we can trade foods, medicines, arts, crafts, things of that nature amongst each other so we can survive. What this is set up for too is also so you can grow, harvest, and plant food. And what does that mean? We grow own foods, we could trade it amongst each other or sell it amongst each other and run our own way of having an indigenous system to make sure that we always have food separate from the Western world system. This one over here is all the equations on how the calendar system works, how it's set up for latitudes and longitudes, how 3.25 is set up to be used with the 15 degrees longitude, and how they relate, how the ancients viewed it. And This one over here is a layout, an example of how to use 3.25 all the way to 3900, and it's an example of using the system that I just showed on that page a little earlier. Over here is an exact reconstruction of an ancient global 3.25 map, and this was how the ancients viewed the globe, using their numbers and equations, not using the modern numbers. This over here is just to show you the distance between Nan Madol and all the way to the Azores Islands. On this one, it shows the symbols of how the Tono'at, the maize, and the Hopi symbols, and the pyramid and medicine wheels, how they all relate to the trade system and figuring out latitudes and longitudes. This over here is the Zia template numbers, and they're the same numbers that are on the Aztec calendar stone in the same exact same place. Not only are those numbers, same numbers on the Aztec calendar stone that are on the Zia template, those numbers are also seen on the Hawaiian compass, which is in Hawaii, the Hawaii star compass. It's laid out in the same as the Aztec calendar stone and the Zia template. Everything in red is the Hawaiian star compass. Everything in black is the Zia template. So when these numbers are all the same over here, this also sets it up so you can figure out equinoxes. You can figure out solstices on this side over here. Why do you want to figure that out? Because once you figure out the solstices over here and all of that, then you can figure out winter solstice. When the sun's over here, it'll hit over here on this side, and it'll tell you when winter solstice is. And when the sun is hitting over here to here, it tells you when to harvest. When it hits from here to here, it tells you when it's the equinox. When it hits from here to here, it tells you when to plant. And when the sun is over here and the shadow's over here, it tells you when the summer solstice is. In other words, this tells you when you can plant, and then later when you can harvest, which is the best days for harvest, which is a 30-day period. Well, planting is a 30-day period. Harvesting is a 30-day period, but it's the 10 days in between the 30 that's the most important for harvesting, which can be set up for that. But this tells you when the best time to plant and when to harvest, so you can grow your own food. And when you grow your own food, you set up the Indigenous Trade Network, and all you do is get the food stuff and you figure out how to trade amongst all the tribes. So you set up in an organized manner so you can trade, sell, or barter anything that you might need to. This is set up so all the ancient runes that are in the Southwest, how they were aligned to each other into this trade network. Same thing over here. It's just, it's still in this grid form here. This is the formal part. But if you want this goes north to south, east to west, that way to that way. Just like this. So this gives you the layout for every trade location in the American Southwest that's connected to every ruin. This one connects the Northwest to the Southwest, to Mexico and to Central America, and eventually all the way to South America. In other words, when you set up the trade network, it's going to be set up along this thick line here, which goes to the Southwest, Teotihuacan, Central America, Tumaco, all the way across. And why is this thick line important? All these other little lines, they all go to it. So when you're trading, this is the main trade route right here. In other words, you connect Alaska, Canada, to the Northwest coast, all the way down to the American Southwest, to Mexico, to Central America, down to Ecuador and South America, and all the way across to this side, to the Atlantic, uniting all of the native people in a trade network. This one right here is the Zia template and how it relates to being used like an indigenous compass. North is that way according to here. To look at this, it's weird because it's not how you see it here. It's set up to be viewed like this from above, and that puts north this way, south that way, and then west and this way. Why? Because once you set it above you, there's alignments on here that can tell you exactly where you need to go to get to Mesa Verde. From here to here, and an alignment to Chaco Canyon. This one over here, Mount Taylor, to Santa Rita, to Acoma, and then this over here to 33 to the Gila Cliff Dwellings. Over on this side, it takes you to the Pecos River, and to Santa Rosa, and to Ute Lake. And that's just a few of the examples. It goes to all the other locations too, but I just put a few of them in here. And it's connected to the Petroglyph National Monument, Hidden Mountain, and Socorro, and down to Pacayme. And how do I know that? 106 longitude. Steve Leskin, pay attention. You're off on your Chaco Meridian. Way off. It's not from Chaco to Pacayme. You should be called the Petroglyph National Monument 106 longitude alignment. Why? Petroglyph National Monument is at 106 degrees longitude. The Hidden Mountain petroglyphs down in Los Lunas, 106 degrees longitude. And what is that Socorro outside of an old mission? Petroglyphs. And what's that Socorro petroglyphs? 106 degrees longitude. And we go all the way down to the Three Rivers petroglyphs outside Tularosa and in that area down there. And what's the Three River petroglyphs? It's at 106 degrees longitude. And you know, you go to 105 and it takes you to Pacayme. But if you want to find an alignment that's directly connected to a longitude, Steve Leskin is not Chaco to Pacayme. It's from the Petroglyph National Monument down to Hidden Mountain and down to Socorro and eventually to the Three Rivers petroglyphs itself. So I solved your alignment. So when are you going to pay me? Okay, we're going to do a longer presentation and I'll go through every page in this book. But right now I just want to announce that it came in and it's here.